I know.
Jeff Dunham is hilarious.
Yeah. The the thing I'm, everybody who's listening to this, everybody who's in this podcast, go watch Blood Punch. It's like, you can find. I think the DVD is like $15, or you can buy it on iTunes for 10 or $15. It's great. Go watch it. It's got some really good acting in it. The thing about Blood Punch is that, and this is a minor spoiler, there's not really a villain.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
it's like it's like Silent Hill in a lot of ways. It's like Silent Hill
Really?
2. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. The Silent Hill franchise. Now, I'll confess, I haven't played any of the games. I'm familiar with the basic premise though, and how the stories work out. But one of the things I've heard how what happened after Silent Hill 2 is basically just throw in guy with a pyramid on his head and an axe, and that's somehow scary apparently.
Yeah. The thing about
What's his name? What's his
his
name?
name is Pyramid Head.
Yeah, Pyramid Head.
That's simple enough.
Yeah.
Pyramid Head.
Here's the thing about Silent Hill is that, Silent Hill 1, you have the evil cult and the crazy town and the guy looking for his daughter. And then in Silent Hill 2, it's completely unrelated. It's the same kind of town, but it's sort of different. And
And I've
there's
heard Pyramid Head is
yeah.
supposed to be represents the character's fear. It's supposed to represent the main character's fear, but the problem is they brought him over into the next games and they're completely different characters. Wait, so Pyramid Head's not a representation of fear? It's just the ghost of Silent Hill or something?
Well, that's something that the Silent Hill comics misunderstood. Not I mean like the ones in the series like Dead Alive, Painted Black, The Grinning Man, those comics, those Silent Hill comics. I haven't read any of the other ones, but the thing about Silent Hill 2 is that it and everything in it are James Sunderland's story. They are very related to James Sunderland, and you've got the big, the nurses with the big breasts. Those are, yeah, the nurses with the big breasts, Pyramid Head, and all of those guys. Those are representations of things in his mind. They are, it is very much his own personal hell. And later on, they brought in all of his personal villains into other people's stories, which
Which ruins it,
yeah,
really.
rather than bringing in new villains for other characters. The thing is that, what it, the bad things that James Sunderland has done in his life don't change depending on what ending you get in Silent Hill 2, but some of the latter Silent Hill games like Downpour and Origins and some of those things are they
They
the
changed
bad
They
thing.
changed the character's past
Yeah,
somehow.
they change depending on your actions in the game, the character's past changes. What the bad things that they've done that earn
They just
them.
get wiped away from
Yeah,
existence.
the bad things that they've
What?
done that have earned them this stint in Silent Hill change depending on your actions in the game, which doesn't.
That's just pathetic.
Yeah. Whereas in
Why,
Silent Hill 2,
it's an unclear character then. Like, why should I root for this guy or why should I hate him then? It changes the character
well,
too
the
much.
problem with Silent Hill Origins was that the guy, Travis, the protagonist of that, he could have left at any time. He didn't have any reason to be there.
Wait, are you serious? Isn't
He,
Silent Hill supposed to be like a personal hell on Earth? At least that's my understanding of it.
yes, Travis had no reason to be in Silent Hill. He was just trucking on through, and he saw a house that was burning in the middle of nowhere, went in, grabbed this girl who with burns all over her body, and took her to the hospital in Silent Hill. And then he stuck around because
The plot. the plot.
Yeah, because otherwise there wouldn't be a plot. I mean,
He,
Travis.
he, he did a heroic act. There's no reason he should be there then. He did a
Right,
heroic act.
right. His redemption came at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, like there's no tension then.
Yeah, that's
Like
the.
that's another thing. The lack of compelling protagonists. Like the antagonist is not scary. They just throw cliche, "Oh, I'm a child rapist and murderer" thing, and and the protagonists. There's no reason to root for them. They're all idiots, and instead of someone you want to root for, they're just, God, when do these people die already?
Yeah, it's like I want to see these. In some horror movies, it's like I want to see these characters become zombies so I can bring in Chris Redfield and kick their asses.
Yeah,
Because
like I just want to see them die already because
yeah,
they represent everything I think is wrong with humanity right now. So like, I'm just thinking, when do these people die so we can call in the Air Force to drop a bomb on them already?
yeah. Say
And
which.
this is another thing
Uh-huh.
is we don't have returning characters. I know, Alex, when you brought up the Nightmare on Elm Street series, you said the best are 1, 3, and New Nightmare. What do those three movies all have in common?
Well, they have Robert Englund, for instance.
And
Besides that, they have Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That's the actors themselves actually like trying to stop Freddy Krueger from crossing into the real world.
what other actor is in all three of them?
Uh, I'm trying to remember.
The girl who plays Nancy is in all
yeah,
three
the
of those
girl,
movies.
Nancy, yeah.
Those are the only three movies she's in, and those are the three best movies because we have a character we can relate with and who we root to win because we've
Yeah.
seen her do it before and we like her character. We don't have this now. We don't have recurring characters. We don't have recurrent characters or returning villains.
Let me
Well,
give you
that's-
protagonists for horror movies in a nutshell right now. We have the virgin, the slut, the hot guy, the nerdy kid, and the black guy.
Right.
Those are
which
horror movies.
they play off that in Cabin in the Woods.
Whereas, as what do you have in Aliens? Well, Alien for one thing. You've got Ellen Ripley, who's smart, and she's cunning, and you've got the android guy, who's completely amoral. You have, they pass the red letter media character test, or if you can describe them without mentioning their appearance or gender,
Or even names. Or
their
even
appearance,
names.
names, or gender, then
You
they're
described it in one word
yeah,
without using any of those.
Than the cliches.
right,
Because, as I said, the virgin, the slut, the hot guy, the nerd, and the black guy. That's basically all we get for horror movies these days.
right.
And of course, the virgin lives because you must not kill the virgin. How else are you going to make unnecessary sequels?
And then, unless of course the Virgin has sex in the next movie, in which case they're probably going to die. That's
If they had sex, they're evil. They should die now. Good.
that's the thing about.
The only one
Okay.
that made sense
Hope you have
was
fun.
Friday the 13th.
Hope you
That
have-
was the only movie where
Hope you have fun
having
saying
sex
goodbye
made
to the
sense.
Hope you have fun saying goodbye to the only character you actually liked.
That's the
Like
thing
in
about
Friday.
horror. They have a very high turnover of protagonists in a lot of them.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm fine with changing protagonists when you can. I'm fine with changing protagonists, but you have to make the protagonists likable. They
Yeah.
just think, oh, we have this new crop of people to die. Hope you enjoy this.
Well, I like to see something that connects the series, and sometimes it's the
I
killer.
definitely like
Sometimes
those.
we have Jason Voorhees who goes on throughout all of his. We have Freddy Krueger goes out through all of his. Michael Myers who go out through all of his. But I do like to see a returning protagonist every once in a while, like we did with Nightmare, where she was in 1, 3, and New Nightmare. I like
As
to
long
see
as-
that
as
return
long
because
as-
it gives us someone to connect to.
Yeah, and don't do something like what Friday the 13th did, where they went from Crystal Lake to having him in outer space. Like, what was
And-
that?
Yeah, Jason X, Jason
Yeah.
goes to
I
hell,
just-
Jason takes
That
Manhattan.
whole movie, I cannot stop laughing during that whole movie. It's just so ridiculously funny to me. I mean, like, how did we get to outer space with this guy?
I read the Wikipedia pages of all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies a few years ago, and it struck me as a very cop-out kind of series because they kill they have the characters which beat Freddy, and then they wind up getting killed in like the very beginning of the movie or something.
I'm
very
not the
beginning
biggest
of the next
fan
movie.
Nightmare. I'm not the biggest fan of the Elm Street franchise. I kind of enjoy them as popcorn movies in a way, but but I do. but I do appreciate when it's good enough.
Oh, I love the Nightmare films. I think they're one of the best. I mean, I love Wes Craven. I mean, when he passed away earlier this year, I wrote the article on it. I was the first
Yeah,
one to tweet it out. Like, he is a legend to me, and his death actually is one that hit me harder than almost anybody in recent memory. And I
and
love
there's
what he's
John.
done. I mean, he
Then
did
there's John
Scream.
Carpenter.
He did, yeah. Between
John,
Wes Craven and John Carpenter, I think they really are our last. Well, now that Wes Craven's passed away, I
well,
think John
Carpenter's
Carpenter is our last remaining, person who could actually do horror right now.
Yeah, because
like Halloween.
Even Ridley Scott has forgotten how to do horror.
Yeah, like, and with Carpenter, for like with the Halloween franchise, part of it is that Carpenter himself said that Michael Myers is not meant to be sympathized with. He's supposed to be the devil incarnate, really. He's not meant to be for you to feel sorry for.
And I
So
know a lot of people.
what do they do in the Rob Zombie remake? They make everyone in his life a total asshole, so he's supposed to be sympathized with.
To be honest, I like seeing that. I like seeing Michael Myers as a real person, and we need to see what made him him. We're not really supposed to sympathize with him, but we're supposed to see why he does. Again, this is what I'm talking about. We have a character who we know why he does things now, and we understand it. We're not really sympathizing with him, but we understand who he is now and why he does what he does. He doesn't just do it to do it.
I know, yeah, but the problem is they made everyone in his life the exact same person, a total idiot who just loves beating him up because they love beating him up for some reason.
I wouldn't say that.
There's no character to any of these guys. They're just stupid. And also, Michael Myers' mother, that's Rob Zombie's wife in the remakes. It's basically just a show of, ooh, look how hot my wife is. Oh, look
That's what Rob Zombie does.
stupid my wife
Mhm.
is.
Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the new Halloween movies, but I do think that they did some things right. Like I said, where they gave us background to the character. I do like seeing that, and I
think,
like Rob Zombie's take on that.
I do like Malcolm McDowell as Loomis. I will say.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Even though
Malcolm.
Who
Even
can't?
though I prefer Donald Pleasance as Loomis, but but Malcolm McDowell was a good choice if only he had better material to work
Yeah,
with.
he's Malcolm McDowell. He's good in everything.
Oh yeah, and like
Exactly.
Donald Pleasance, he was one of those actors. I brought this up in our previous podcast. I think he would just always give it his all no matter what. And there's that speech he had in the first Halloween movie where he's talking to the cop about like how he looks into Michael Myers' eyes, all he sees is the devil himself.
Yeah, and they bring that up in. Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of John Carpenter, that brings me to The Thing.
Yes, The Thing, the original
Yeah.
The Thing. It
For
was
those
so
of you who
brilliant.
don't know, John Carpenter's The Thing is actually a remake.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was like a what,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
1930s?
called The Thing from Outer Space.
I keep
And then-
forgetting. No, it was 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's three things. There's the original, there's John Carpenter's, which is the superior version, and there's the new one, which is what, 2009, I
The
want to say?
2011, I think it was, but that was a movie that went through a lot of changes in post production because they had
Carpenter's or the third one?
the third one,
third one.
the remake, the
The
2000.
second remake, the third one.
Oh yeah, the second remake. The thing about
yeah.
The Thing was that the 2011 version, or whatever, the new one, the new Thing movie was that it went through a lot of changes in post production. They had some amazing practical effects made up for that movie. They had some great practical monster effects and everything. And say what you will about the movie, it might not have been as good as the original or the remake, but it if they
I
hadn't
consider
gone,
John Carpenter's the best version.
yeah, it definitely is. But
The 2011 The Thing was written by Eric Heiserer and directed by Matthias van Heijingen Jr. I don't know.
See,
He's
again, this
Dutch.
is another problem, is these are
Dutch.
nobodies. Everybody
Right.
doing horror is a nobody. They do their one or two movies, and then they're done. We don't
Right.
have anybody like this anymore who specifically deals in horror on acting or writing or directing side
I think
anymore.
people who have a degree in psychology should be allowed to direct horror movies
Yeah.
because they understand the human psyche. They understand what freaks people out. Psychologists should be allowed to make horror movies. That's my thing.
But I was just gonna say that they had all these great practical effects made up for the for the
2011.
the 2011 The Thing, and all of that was changed to CGI in post production. They were working with practical effects on set, but then and changed.
Which I mean adds to the help of the actors, but
That's
for us in the end shot,
that's
it
that's
doesn't work.
pathetic. That's
Yeah,
pathetic.
I've seen the original. I've seen some of the original footage. It looks great, but
I'm looking at the trailer
yeah,
right now.
but it was all changed to this shiny, plasticky CG stuff. It's like Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters. They had really good they had some really good practical effects. Actually, the Percy Jackson movies in general. The Percy Jackson.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I'm the one who's supposed to be running this thing. How did Alexander manage to mute me?
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to head out. I'm needed in the field.
Okay,
Alright.
go ahead.
Have a good one.
We were just having a little bit of technical difficulties. Alexander, did you mute me by any
Yeah,
chance?
sorry. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
sorry about that.
I didn't even know that was
I didn't mean
possible.
to. Okay, I'm looking at this trailer for the 2011 The Thing right now.
Uh-huh.
I noticed the guy who plays Killer Croc in Suicide Squad is in it.
But I was just gonna mention the Percy Jackson movies. They had some pretty good practical effects that they used on set, which were then covered up in post production with god awful CGI. And I'm not really saying I like CG when it's used right, but the thing is that the Percy Jackson movies did not.
CG used to be used with practical effects. It should be used to help
Yeah,
make
like
them better. It
like-
shouldn't be used in place of practical
like
effects.
like Jurassic Park. But the thing about the Percy Jackson movies was that they, not only were they bad, they used subpar CG, which didn't really mesh. If it had been in an overall, like, they were going for a grunge aesthetic with that, whereas if they'd gone for like a more shiny fantasy aesthetic, it would have worked better. But that's the thing, is that CG that doesn't mesh well with the
Environments around it.
environment around it sticks out more than bad CG that
Yeah, like
blends
the
in.
Star Wars prequels, for instance, they're almost entirely a blue screen CG, and I just watched the trailer for the 2011 Thing. Halfway through, I'm thinking, oh, this looks so bad. And the thing about it, when there's an oversaturation of CG now instead of practical effects. Like, I'm looking at movies, I'm just, for like the Transformers movies, it's understandable there. But other things, I'm just thinking, okay, that's CG, that's CG, that's CGI, that's CGI, because it's so obviously fake.
Well, it's you mentioned the Transformers movies, but I think that the 2014 Godzilla movie used CG very well.
It worked out pretty great, actually.
I
mean,
would
for creature features, this is why I want creature features to come back, is you do need that CG, and we have that power. And as long as they do it right, I think it could be really great. And I know they're working on the Universal Monster Universe. They started with Dracula Untold. We just got greenlit and a writer for Van Helsing movie. We're going to be getting a Mummy, a Frankenstein, Invisible Man, all that. Those are all coming back.
Anyone else actually like Hugh Jackman's performance in that Van Helsing movie, but nothing else?
I actually like that movie. I thought it was pretty decent.
I haven't
It's been-
seen it, but Hugh Jackman, so
It's been years since I last saw it, but all I remember was Hugh Jackman's performance, so that can't be a good sign.
but yeah,
Yeah, we're getting this universe built now over the monster movies, and I'm hoping that this can bring back horror. But after Dracula Untold, which wasn't a horror movie, I don't know. And they're saying that the rest isn't going to be a horror movie, but then everything was placed on hold, so I'm not sure if they changed that.
Also,
I
it's kind
was-
of convoluted because so he goes into the mountain, he sees a Roman Emperor Nero, who's been alive all these years apparently, and he's a wizard now. What?
I was just gonna say that I consider the 2014 Godzilla movie to be horror, and I also kind of consider Jurassic Park to be horror too. What do you guys think?
The first Jurassic Park that has horror elements to it.
Yeah,
I
I
would
was going to say
that.
they both have horror elements. I wouldn't say they're horror movies; they have horror elements.
Jurassic Park is a really fun movie.
And
But
then
see, Godzilla.
Lost
I was gonna
World.
say, oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Alright, I was gonna say that Godzilla, it does it right where they build up the character. We don't see Godzilla that often, and when we do see him, it is frightening because he's not there in every single shot. I know a lot of people hate that, but I think they did that right, which is again a callback to the original Godzilla, but it's also a callback to horror movies.
Well,
I have
the thing
mixed
about
feelings
the
towards
the
it.
1990s, the thing about the last American Godzilla movie was that
Ah, Roland
they
Emmerich.
they showed Godzilla way too much.
Yes,
He's
they
not
did.
that thing is not Godzilla.
Well,
That,
yeah,
it's
it's
technically
the-
Zilla now.
It's
well,
the Zilla monster.
Not only that, but even before that happened, like I refuse to acknowledge it as Godzilla because it doesn't. It doesn't look anything like what you see of Godzilla. It's some weird T-Rex iguana thing. That's what it is.
Yeah, you should see the original model they were going to be using for that because it looks a lot
I
more
have-
like the
I have
original.
seen it. I have
Godzilla.
seen it. It looks
Yeah.
so much like the. It looks so much more like the original.
Fortunately, they didn't go with the original model they were going to use for the 2014 movie because I heard that they were going to be going for another iguana type thing.
Well, that would have ruined it already.
Yeah, that would have ruined it. But fortunately, they came to their senses. But
See, I'm thinking that
Like
with the rise of
It's a mixed feeling though, like not showing the monster because people look at, oh hey, Jaws did it, let's do it here, and like, look, Jaws, yeah, it's scary. That's because it's something we kind of already know about. Like, I don't. There's things like the Hulk and Godzilla where I don't want them to hide the monster. I just want to see it destroy things.
I don't. I think it adds to the story.
well, you
I
know,
think it
it's
adds
like-
to the
it's
story
like
if we
the-
can't see it. We can
the-
focus. The problem with Godzilla 2014 had is
It's a
that while it
boring
didn't
story.
focus, yeah, it
It's a
didn't
boring
focus
story.
on Godzilla, which I don't care about. But the fact the human characters, I literally did not care about a single bit.
Yeah, we were sold on this Bryan Cranston Ken Watanabe team up of trying to stop Godzilla. All we got
That was just us misinterpreting it. That's all
the
I'm gonna say.
science. I'm going to bring this up.
What we got was Aaron Taylor Johnson trying to be a Marine when he's nothing like that. When I don't buy him as a Marine.
You know who they should
Why
have
couldn't we
gotten
have
for
more
that?
Bryan Cranston and Ken Watanabe.
You know who they should have got if they wanted to go for the Marine thing? Just get John Cena, because he.
Let's not do that.
I'm just saying, you know, if you want to go for, if you want to try and be a Marine, just get John Cena. He actually is a Marine.
Yeah, I'm
So,
hoping that with
You
this
could probably
whole,
just get The Rock. You could probably just get The Rock for
well,
it.
hell,
I'd
well, hell
rather have
yeah,
that.
just get The Rock. He's a better actor than John Cena.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
because John Cena cannot act. Get
Yeah.
The Rock or Dave Bautista because they can act.
Yeah,
well, yeah. But with this whole, we're building up this monster universe now, and we're hopefully building up this universal monster universe with all the classics. I'm hoping that this is a rebirth for horror movies, where, like Zach said earlier, which unfortunately he can't be here right now, he says that this is a renaissance. I'm thinking this has potential to be the start of a renaissance, but I'm not seeing it right now.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm hoping that we can
too
build
early.
that this can be something. If Universal does it right, and they do make their movies horror movies, which isn't what they said earlier, but if they do that, and we focus more on story and everything, I think that we could do this right again.
Yeah, it's too early to say right now.
Yeah.
After all, Rome wasn't built in a day. After all, and the Renaissance is not just Machiavelli and Da Vinci. There's a lot more to it than just that. So we'll have to wait and see.
you know, Japan is reviving its Godzilla series too. So
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
yeah, so we're having
Yep.
two simultaneous Godzilla series coming out.
Well, one is like Godzilla versus King Kong right now. So
Yeah.
Yep, they're doing. Yep, they're remaking Godzilla vs King Kong. Godzilla 2 is gonna have Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan in it. It's gonna be
Oh
awesome.
no.
Don't say oh no. That sounds awesome.
Oh
Wasn't
yeah, it
Mothra-
does.
was
It's just that,
Mothra-
you know, the
I'm not the
last.
biggest fan of Godzilla, so I am kind of familiar with the monsters. I kind of can figure out what Mothra is by its name. So
Yes,
did we-
Rodan is a giant pterodactyl-like thing, and then King Ghidorah is
yeah.
like a three-headed dragon.
Yeah, like didn't we
Mhm.
kind of have Mothra in the first movie? Those two little bird things.
No,
No,
that wasn't
those were-
Mothra.
I forget what they were called, but because Toho
Toho.
wouldn't let that. Yeah, I said Toho. I did it again. Anyway, they wouldn't let Universal Legendary, Warner Brothers, they wouldn't let them use other characters besides Godzilla. So they created their own. And then when they saw what they did, they allowed them to use their other ones for the sequel.
It makes sense really, because after the mess of the first American Godzilla, I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they wouldn't allow us to touch it for like 15 years after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, The thing about Godzilla is that occasionally they just don't, in the big crossover stuff, they usually, as far as I've been able to see in the Godzilla movies I've seen, they don't usually have a lot for Godzilla to do. He's just sort of there to have the Godzilla name on it, and
Yeah, and there's,
yeah,
that's a problem. That's a problem with these monster crossover movies. What else are they going to do except beat each other up and destroy things?
Yeah, now we're getting the Dracula crossover with all his other ones. I mean, they set it up at the end of Dracula Untold. I know you guys haven't seen it, but they set up the whole crossover, and it looks like we're going to be getting this crossover again, like we had back in the old days with
can
the
I say
Bela
something real
Lugosi
quick
and
here?
Carl F. Red
It seems like they're trying to, because of the Avengers and the DC stuff, they're trying to create these unified monster universes for all these things.
Yeah, like ever since Avengers happened, and
But Universal did it first. Universal did it
I know
way
that, but you know, the
well, when
thing
did Universal do it? When did Universal
exactly
do it?
how many of these public domain monster movies are we having? Because there was I Frankenstein, and there
With
was
garbage.
Aaron
Aaron
Eckhart,
Eckhart, which was garbage.
and they wasted his talent yet again.
shame because Aaron Eckhart's really good, but they have
Yeah, he's amazing.
they
And
have-
Thank You for Smoking. Have you seen Thank You for Smoking? He's amazing in that.
but
There
they've
was a Wolfman remake back in 2010 that also bombed.
there was and then there's
was
the
a Dracula
Daniel
Untold a couple years
Radcliffe.
back,
Then there's the Daniel Radcliffe Frankenstein movie coming out this soon.
which actually
Gil-
looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
Gil Kennan, the guy who directed
hoping that's good.
Monster House and City of Ember, he's directing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Oh god, let's
Oh,
not even get into that.
Let's go
I have
ahead
a-
and
I have a friend. He's a huge fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. He's excited for this movie. I'm not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I have
Okay.
Nights at Freddy's
I've played-
brings my biggest problem with horror movies, and that
Like,
is jump
I've played-
scares.
I've played only the first game. It was not scary to me at all because it's.
well, can we
Jump scares all
can we go ahead and pause for a bit? I need to go get some more water or maybe a bite to eat, and then we can come back and discuss horror games in a bit. Just
Yeah, sure.
give me like 10 minutes.
Sure, yeah, you'll edit this out and all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of editing to do on this one.
Yeah. Okay, so let's
Well,
go
when we
ahead.
come back, I'll restart my thing on Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, we'll have our we'll take a little break here. Here, you guys do what you need to do, and I'll do what I need to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.